So before I talk about this 4-row and all the other attachments that we installed on this, along with 3 attachments that we had no experience with prior to this install, and also what the heck that thing is, I'm going to cut to some footage of the last install footage of this planter, of the when I installed the last part of the attachments from Yetter on this, and I think that was back from late March. So let's go ahead and talk about the starter and in-furrow setup on this planter then. So as you can see, I did get the hoses run to the red ball setup, and basically all I needed to do is get the hoses run for each one of the 4 rows, get the injectors set up, and get the in-furrow tank mounted and run, along with update the seed firmers to the Keaton in-furrow seed firmers to allow for in-furrow fertilizer to be injected into the seed furrow. Did not take the time to do that because we ran out of time, and I told you guys from the get-go that the in-furrow tank was going to be hard-pressed for time to even get that on there, and we just flat out ran out of time. So that'll end up being a winter project, that liquid fertilizer system for both the starter and the in-furrow. There are a few Shoup parts on here, which I will also link down below, besides all the Yetter attachments I'll talk about. So I'll go ahead and link those down below, like I said. So these are the heavy-duty downforce kits that we got from Shoup. They actually did a really good job keeping these row units in the ground. We've been running these row cleaners for about 7 years now, I think, going on. 7 years on the 16 row. Only difference is that these are pin adjust, and the ones on the 16 row are air adjust with the clean sweep option on them. When you see the footage of this stuff in action later, you'll notice that these are running and throwing a lot of dirt, or more dirt than what they should be, and running a tad bit deep. That's just also that's mostly because of the fact that when we went through with the 16 row, we shut off half the planter and banded 8 rows of liquid fertilizer, both in-furrow and starter, down for the sweet corn, where I was filming this when I planted the sweet corn. I think the 4th planting or 5th planting when I filmed this, or filmed the attachments in action. And so there was already essentially rows made by the planter, so really these were just running right where the rows were, or rows that were made by the 16 row. So really, necessarily, I could have just pinned those up and not ran them, but I just put them down and kept them down just to kind of show you guys what the row cleaners actually do. I'll probably end up also adding some footage of the row cleaners on our planter just to kind of give you guys a comparison and also show you guys what they actually should be doing and not what those showed in the video, just because they were throwing a little bit too much dirt and causing a little bit more of a trench to be made. So moving on, these are the dual placement fertilizer openers. We've been running these since they first came out with them, the very first year they came out with these. I believe this is the third or fourth year that we've run these. Again, I told you we did not have the injectors put on these just because, again, we ran out of time. We absolutely love these. These things have increased our yields tremendously by putting our starter on both sides of the row and not just one side of the row. So definitely a huge game changer if you guys are looking to change up your starter program. We ended up adding the Shoup update kit for the closing wheels, really just to get a little bit more accurate of a adjustment on these closing wheels. The soybean meters that we got from Shoup, the brushed meters, are actually up in the shop, up in the loft. And currently what's in it right now is the corn meters. I believe the precision planting corn meters is what's in this, or finger pickup meters. These definitely need to be gone through. There was a lot of skips, triples, and doubles that I noticed after the sweet corn emerged. So definitely this winter we'll get those gone through. We ended up going full bore on the 16 row and putting all 16 rows worth of Gator twisters on our 16 row, and also we for this 4 row we ended up having all twisters put on this. So there was no side-by-side comparisons to the furrow cruisers, but I will say this: these do, from what we've noticed this year, break up the sidewall a lot better and essentially cause less sidewall compaction compared to what our furrow cruisers were. It seemed this year we had a lot better and more even of emergence, and we can pretty well blame that on these. These did a tremendous job, especially in the planting conditions that we were planting in. Pretty much every field that we planted in was not ideal, and I'm pretty sure everybody can say the same thing there. These did, again, a tremendous job, and I would highly, highly recommend these, even if you're just considering going to either furrow cruisers. I would definitely give these a look. These definitely have a little bit more twisted of a knob on the end of them, so it's definitely going to cause less of a rooster tail compared to the furrow cruisers. So definitely give these Gator twisters a look if you're considering going to different closing wheels. So on the back of the planter then, we've got the drag chains and also a new product that, well, is really new to us that we got from Gator is the drag chain shields. We've run the drag chains. Actually, our soil agronomist from Illinois got us using these because they recommended them to us to help seal the seed bed and close it up better and level it out. Back when I believe we first started running row cleaners on our planter. Not too much to say about these except we love what they do and they do a good job. These though, basically, we've never really needed to pin up our drag chains, but it's a nice option. So basically all you would do is just pin them up like so, and you could do that for transport mode if you absolutely wanted to. Necessarily, I wouldn't see why you would need to do that. But saying if there's certain soil conditions or planting conditions that you do not want to run the drag chains in, you can pin them up and not run drag chains. So basically this just gives you the option, if you don't always want to run drag chains, you can pin them up and not run them. So I do not have again the injectors on. I kind of wish I did for this to kind of give you guys a comparison, but Gator came out with a new product, I believe, for this year, and I believe this year it's still in demo phase. So actually we were one of the demoers. I believe it is still in demo phase this year, if I'm correct. But these are a different design for their dual placement fertilizer openers. Now, I will have some footage of the injectors in action on our 16 row to kind of give you guys a comparison to this. But basically, the injectors that we run on our 16 row, which would have been run on these 2 row units, is basically a nozzle that basically shoots the fertilizer straight down into the slot that these disc blades make. What these do, they basically are kind of act like an anhydrous knife and knife the liquid fertilizer into the ground instead of injecting it into the ground. So a little bit different of a design. We did not really get too much experience with these as what we would have liked, as we did not get the hoses run to it and actually see how the hoses would actually run. We just tested them without the hoses, and so far we really like the looks of them. A couple things we would like to see them run in, though, is cover crop, because the only concern we had was the hose and running these in standing rye, and having possibly some issues with the cover crops. But otherwise, as far as straight conventional till, since we did not really get much experience with this in no-till, because the sugar plot that we actually ended up having the sugar plot in the field was actually conventionally tilled due to the weed pressure and how tall the weeds were. So we ended up going in there with the vertical till and hitting it 2 passes with that. So it was pretty much conventionally tilled. So that's really the only experience that we had with these in, but I would like to try these out in some no-till conditions just to see how these do in regards to residue, because that was another issue that we were concerned about, is about residue buildup between the knife and the disc blade. So but that will be something that we'll have to try out next year and see how these do. They are set up for 2 rows on this planter, so the other 2 rows would be the injectors. So hopefully, fingers crossed this winter, which it should happen without a doubt, that we get this planter in the shop, get this all set up for liquid fertilizer, and trying those knives out with liquid fertilizer run to them instead of just having nothing run to them. So that's a complete build then on the 4-row John Deere 7000 series planter then. Again, it's not fully done. Obviously, this thing has a long way to go as far as attachments go yet. We would like to, again, put precision planting parts on here someday and put like a 2020 monitor on here for when we do the Pioneer plots. Eventually, that's, you know, down the road, 5-10 years from now, you know, putting on electric drives, putting on a vac system on those, putting on, you know, clean sweeps, putting on, you know, there's so much stuff I'd like to do for this, and essentially make it a parallel or mirror version of what our 16 row is. Again, our 16 row does not have electric drives and such, but someday we will put electric drives on the 16 row. But again, we are very, very thankful and grateful for Yetter Farm Equipment as a sponsor on this YouTube channel. Huge, huge, huge thank you to them. Again, I will have all these products linked down below. These products have increased our yields tremendously over the course of many years of using these. And if you're definitely considering going to a different starter setup on your planter, definitely consider those dual placement fertilizer injectors. Those have increased our yields tremendously by being able to run those. So with that, again, another huge thank you to Yetter Farm Equipment. We look forward to working with them more in the future on demos and other products and such in the future. And again, one last huge thank you to Yetter Farm Equipment. So again, one last time, I will have all these products linked down below, including the Shoup products. So go ahead and check out the description down below for any of these that you're interested in. And feel free to shoot me any questions down below in the comments that you have on any of these products. And stay tuned till the end of the video to see all of these products in action of the footage I captured planting, I think, the 5th planting of sweet corn. So if you guys are interested, stay till the end and check that out. Now, let's talk about this 2019 John Deere XUV 835M. So, I haven't really posted about this since March. We got this back in March, and this isn't actually the farm's Gator. This is my grandma's Gator again. I've talked about this before. The 825i was originally my grandma's Gator. She uses it here around the farm, but not for the farm. The John Deere TX Gator was actually the farm's Gator. Originally, that was her Gator, and actually we had the first Gator she got. So basically, it's just rotating the Gators. We ended up getting the John Deere 825i, the one that I put the GPS kit on it for doing the boundary mapping, and she ended up buying a XUV 835M. She was going to buy another 825i, but I showed her these, and she was a lot more happier with this than the 825. Could not convince her, though, to get the air-conditioned one with the doors that have the crank windows. So this has the net doors. We took one of the net doors off on the driver's side just for ease of getting in. And necessarily, we really don't need the net doors, but we kept that one on because the dog likes to ride in the Gator now. They definitely did a lot of improvements to this Gator compared to the 825 series. The bench seat is really nice. The storage is amazing on this Gator. The shifter, a lot better than the 825s. The dash, way better. Such an improvement compared to when the dash was here in the center on the 825. Different styled switches compared to the 825. This one actually has a true glass window, and also this one actually has a windshield wiper. The mirrors are a lot nicer, and also has a rear view mirror. She did not get the bumpers on the back because she did not want the bumpers, and necessarily I really didn't think it looked good with the bumpers on it. So it actually looks really cool without the bumpers. So otherwise, this is the new Gator on the farm. This is not for the farm. This is for my grandma. She bought this, not the farm. This will be a really awesome Gator to have, though. Again, this isn't for the farm, but it'll be around the farm, so you will end up probably seeing this in future videos. But again, this was not a farm purchase, and this was just a purchase done by my grandma. Also, for those of you that saw the pallet of water back there, yes, we buy our water in bulk. It's easier that way. We don't have to run to the Sam's Club every week, really buying 3, 4, 5 cases of water. Much easier just buying a pallet of 48 cases. Anyways, with that, I'll go ahead and leave you guys with the remaining footage of the 4-row until this winter when we finish this up.